Hey folks, Nathan here from the Star Wars Home Video Library, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, Star Wars Beyond the Films, and such. I was asked by a viewer here earlier today if I could show my Star Wars book collection, and it's a little bit tricky because of how it's all situated here in our relatively small apartment compared to what we need. So I'll show you what I can. I apologize for the lighting here. Bear in mind that, for the most part, the books that you're seeing are going to be either first edition, or if I got them later, which is rare, unless they were really, really old ones, they're first format. So, like, if the first format it was in was paperback, then I have it in paperback. If the first format was hardback, I have it in hardback. It's pretty much all just books, except for some of the book-shaped comics. There are going to be some of those, like here on the left, there are going to be some of those advanced review copies. And some of these are signed, though there's no way to tell that from the outside at this point. So, just kind of taking it through. I have them in pretty much chronological order, and I do have the audio dramas up here with them, like Tales of the Jedi there. So, you got basically going down through the Old Republic era, down into stuff like Jedi Apprentice, Darth Maul, and so forth. Getting down here, that's the Phantom Menace limited edition, and I gotta do this in a way that I'm not actually gonna be able to really see it. Bottom shelf, again, very hard to see, again, because in this apartment we just do not have decent lighting. This is actually the room in which I used to record from the Star Wars library when the lighting was so freaking horrible. A lot of smaller books there. Those are those Decide Your Destiny books, the ones that were just in the UK, except for the first couple. More Clone Wars, more Clone Wars, more Clone Wars era. More Clone Wars era. Again, going beyond what I can really see. Man, you can barely see in there. That's more Clone Wars going up through or excuse me, that's actually a Han Solo adventures up through Death Star. Sounds are going off from emails and whatnot. Again, more audio drama type stuff and stuff around the films. A New Hope-ish. And shortly after A New Hope-ish, going up towards The Empire Strikes Back, then to and through Empire Strikes Back, and then a handful of books down here shortly after Empire. Woo! Taking us up, finally past Return of the Jedi, and there's a lot of emails going off. Okay, getting into the more sort of classic era here of the EU, down into Young Jedi Knights, Vector Prime and such. Now there'll be a little bit better light, and so you got those 4 book towers you just saw there with stuff running across the top. Saw my wife's many Yodas and such here. What is it with women and Yodas? And then you got a couple of these larger bookshelves. There's basically New Jedi Order through Legacy of the Force through Fate of the Jedi, through Crucible, the other couple of anthologies that reprinted Adventure Journal stuff, Adventure Journal, Star Wars manga, and so on and so on and so on. That's omnibus stuff from Dark Horse for things like Marvel. And you get into guidebooks, more guidebooks without a lot of room for them. Then you move over to this other shelf, and there's the story group's new canon, relatively small. Some stuff for selling, giving away, stuff that I wrote that I need to put away, stuff like that. Random stuff, including that USA Today from Back to the Future Day. And then more guidebook type things, some games, the Willow spin-offs and whatnot. And not really organized for either of those, really. And then some of the big box type books, like Book of Sith, Jedi Path, the Goodwin Williamson Holy Grail set, as I called it, and that sort of thing there. But that's all books. And then the comics are in a handful of long boxes, as are issues of Insider. And then there's the home video stuff that you all have seen fairly recently. Beyond that, the miniatures games and all that kind of stuff are all in those big, whatchamacallit, I don't want to call them, not fish tank, tackle boxes. Yes, that's it, tackle boxes in the other room. And for me, for what it's worth, curious like why it was that I changed from recording in here, because it used to be recording basically at this table from this angle here pointing up that way is because now that I teach at home, my dining room table has basically become NASA. This is where I work every day. So yeah, can't really use that for recording anymore, and those things are really kind of heavy to move around at this point. There's also what few other Star Wars things are in here. Signed cast photo of Clone Wars, signed Jan Duursema print of the Legacy group. My wife's unopened Disney Infinity figures, then my lightsaber there with just various other stuff sitting on it that I need to finally put away and whatnot. And none of this stuff is Star Wars because it's got its own little area. So yeah, lots and lots of Star Wars books, pretty much all of them. I don't get the RPG books at this point, so none of those are in there. None of the old ones or anything like that. The little kid books like Step Into Reading I don't collect, but when it comes to the adult novels, when it comes to most of the young reader novels, things like Jedi Apprentice, the things that actually count, they're here. And again, a lot of them are signed, not all of them certainly, but a much bigger percentage than I ever would have thought I would wind up being able to get signed or get signed copies of. So, to answer your question, that's what it looks like.